Assalamualaikum everyone. So I hope that you had a great break and you're all full right now because I don't want you to be bored when I'm talking. Okay? So my name is Hajir, as you heard, and from something that I completely did not expect, nor did I believe in, to something that I cannot wait to be in the future. It's adventurous how life works in mysterious ways. And this is why today I want to share my story with you. I want to tell you about mental health, how I had to go through it, and also how us as a society should break that stigma for a better, brighter future. So we all know that people really feel ashamed of, or they feel like uncomfortable about going to psychiatrists, psychologists, or to rehab. And even if they do go there, they would feel like, they would try their best to hide it from others, which I don't understand why, because whatever they're doing is not wrong. They're actually going to improve themselves, so why is it wrong? And if there was any other illness that they're going through, like for instance diabetes, they wouldn't mind like discussing about their problems. They wouldn't mind discussing about their symptoms. Like for example, I'm thirsty all the time, I'm hungry all the time. But it isn't the same with mental health now, is it? We can't really talk about these things. Why? Why is there such a stigma around it? So how do we expect ourselves to be physically fine and we're not allowed to be mentally sick? Like, why is that fair for you to get sick physically, but you're not allowed to get sick mentally? It's not fair at all. So, I also know that people think that if you open up about certain problems or you share about it to someone, you're considered weak. Especially in some societies, if men cry about something, or they share with their colleagues about something, they're considered fragile. Why? Why are they considered fragile? Aren't they all human like us? It's not fair for us to say that men shouldn't cry, because they're humans. And we all have emotions. We all have some sort of emotions like anger, frustration, sadness, anxiety. Some people go through depression. And all of that is not easy. And honestly, God gave us the ability to feel emotions for a reason. So we're not supposed to be okay if we're not okay. You know that people who actually have depression have to work harder 10 times compared to others. They can't get up from bed. It's so hard for them to brush their teeth. It's so hard for them to push themselves to go to get, shower. Things that might seem easy for everyone, it might be so difficult for them. And this, in my opinion, is considered strength. There are other people who have social anxiety. They get scared about, talking to people, interacting with them, going for meetings, and they still push themselves to go there. This is considered strength. There are even people who have been gone through things that are worse. There are people who have been through so much traumatic experience in their life. And they try their best to wake up every day and say that I will take it one step at a time. And this is strength. So there is nothing to be ashamed of, actually, when you're expressing your emotions. It's actually healthy, it brings your soul at peace, and it helps you grow as an individual. So that I would like to tell you now a story about me. And the story started when I was in high school. So when I was in grade 11, I started having these nightmares. And I thought it was just a phase of my life, and I didn't know what did the nightmares mean or what they were, but I knew that I would wake up every night and frightening dreams, my heart would beat so fast that I would feel it in every part of my body. I used to shiver, I couldn't breathe, I felt like I was going crazy, but I didn't know what was wrong. And I used to cry so much. And after that, I used to think it's just a phase, you know? Dreams are morbid, I'm sure everyone has nightmares, so why make such a big deal out of it? So I ignored it, and I was like, it's probably gonna go. Then grade 12 stuff came, and you know how grade 12 is the year apparently that decides your future. So I was so stressed about my future, I was constantly worried about my grades. And like, what if I don't get into that school? What if I don't get that grade? What if I don't get the scholarship? And I was constantly sad too. But then I thought that I was sad because, you know, I couldn't like sleep well, or because ever since I'm a kid I was told that I'm a sensitive person. So maybe that's why I was sad. However, things passed by and my nightmares started getting worse and worse, and I didn't know what was going on, honestly. And I used to get so scared to a point where I wouldn't be able to go to school because I would get physically sick on the night of my exam. I would have stomach ache, I would have chest pain, I would vomit, I would shiver, but I wouldn't know what's wrong with me. And I would go to the hospital and you know, they'd tell me, you know what, like, it's probably you ate something bad last night. It's probably like gastritis. It's probably this or that. But no one mentioned to me that maybe it could be something else. And I knew it in my heart that there is something, but I just didn't know what it was. Somehow, I took so many tuitions. I worked through grade 12, and I got into med school. Then, my first year was the hardest year of my life. Honestly, like coming from Muscat to Sahara was a huge change for me, because like Muscat was so well developed and Sahara wasn't, so it just felt like I had a cultural shock in my own country. And my friends weren't there, my parents weren't around me. I didn't have my license so that I could go back and forth whenever I wanted to see my family. And studies were different. They were harder, and I didn't know, like, I really didn't know what was going on. I felt like I was lost. Eventually, this started affecting my attendance, and my advisor got in contact with me, and he told me that we needed to like meet and talk, and this is what we do in college. We meet our advisors, and you know, we talk to them and tell them what our problems are. And I spoke to him, and I told him, I was like, this and this happened, and that's the reason I can't like I didn't tell him about my nightmares, but what I was saying that I have migraine, sometimes I have chest pain, and I can't sleep at night. And he told me that I should meet a college counselor. So when I did, she told me that it sounded like I have anxiety. And honestly, I was in a huge denial when she said that. Because I was like, is she calling me crazy? I'm not crazy, I'm strong. I know that I am strong. So why is she saying that I'm not crazy, there is nothing wrong with me? And of course, I ignored that part. It continued, it got worse, and they told me that I needed to seek help. A lot of people did. And I didn't want to do it because I was like, what are they going to think about me? What is my family going to think about me? What are my friends going to think about me? What's the society going to think about me? Until one day I hit my rock bottom. And it was extremely difficult. I remember that night where I decided that I couldn't take it anymore and I needed to go get help. And honestly, when I did that, I did not regret a moment of it. I'm so glad that I went, I got help, I learned a lot of things at that time. And I had support of my loved ones meant they were there for me mentally, physically, like anything I needed, they were just there for me. And I remember like my parents would literally drop me wherever I needed to go to get help without even thinking twice. Like I would come first. So after that, after I got help and the treatment that I wanted, I learned a lot of things. I learned how to challenge my thoughts. I learned how to work better towards my future. I learned how to improve my grades. And it actually worked because last year I was one of these students who got the highest score in my whole batch. You know, in 2019, when all of this happened, I was diagnosed with major depressive disorder with secondary generalized anxiety. And I'm not sure like if you all understand what these big words mean. But it basically means like, you know, you're constantly sad and you're suffering with your life, and then you're also scared about things you don't know what you're scared of. So I went through that, but after I learned everything and I achieved the things that I needed to achieve, I was happy, I was healthy, and I was thankful to God and to everyone who told me that I needed to go get help, that I would want for it and help me survive it, because if I could go back in time and like, change anything, I wouldn't, because my past has led me to a better future. So I decided that I would name that chapter of my life as Metamorphosis. Because just like a butterfly, I went through the cycle and I eventually became this beautiful, strong butterfly that has wings and can do anything. And that's why I feel like everyone should seek help. Another interesting thing about me is that before, when I was in grade 12, when I wanted to be a doctor, I actually joined med because I wanted to be a cardiothoracic surgeon. Like, anyone would tell me, no, that's not easy, you're a girl, and I'd be like, you know what, like, this is my life and I want to make these choices for myself. But then after everything that I went through, I realized that I don't want to be a surgeon anymore. I don't want to treat people physically. I want to heal their souls. I want to make them feel the way they made me feel. I want them to feel good about themselves. I want them to live life. I want them to appreciate every moment they have. Because we don't know what happens tomorrow, but we know that we have now. And this is what's important. So I didn't know that I had it in me to achieve different things. I really didn't. I always doubted myself. I had my insecurities. But when I got help, I realized that, you know, I could do it. So why can't anyone else either? I'm sure that people around here are as strong or even stronger than I am, and all they need is just a little bit of push, just a little bit of help to get back on track. And I don't think that it really matters how old are you, or what your gender is, or what your cultural background is, or how many children you have. It's never too late to seek help. You can always go and seek help. Just like, for example, when you have back pain, and let's say you had this back pain since like a couple of months, and it affects your daily functioning. You can't go to work, you can't do the simplest things, like you can't cook food, you can't wash your clothes, you can't take care of your children. So eventually you're going to go to the doctor, right? You're going to go, you want to know what is the help that you need, and why is it happening, and what's the best treatment for you. So just like that, when you go to a psychiatrist or a therapist, you are actually going to know what is causing this mental struggle that you're going through, and how do you stop it from progressing. And you know, if you have a back pain and it's so severe that if they told you that you need to go for surgery, you wouldn't even think twice because of how much it hurts you. So you would go for that surgery, you're going to do it. And it's the same with mental health. People struggle so much, and they will find any way to stop that pain. So why is it wrong for us to take pills if we want to make us feel better? Everything has side effects. Even the sun has side effects. If you're exposed to sun for a really long time, you can get cancer. But why do you think of medications that way? If you take medications, you take one dose of antidepressant, what's going to happen? You're going to have kidney failure? No, that's not going to happen. All that's going to happen is you are going to start feeling better. You'll see life in a more better way. You have a different perspective and you learn more. So what I want you to learn from my experience is that if someone tells you that they need the support, be there for them. Don't use words such as, you're too sensitive, it's just a phase, or your drug addiction is your fault, or, like you're a man, you shouldn't cry, men don't complain, or, like people have it worse, because a lot of time we hear it, you're not thankful enough, people have it worse. But why do we expect people to have the same emotional tolerance if we all look different? We all look different, we all have different emotional tolerance, we all have different jobs, so why are we supposed to have the same emotions? So I think this concludes my whole talk, and I want to tell you that the change starts within us. So let this generation be the generation where, it makes a healthy, safe environment for people with mental health disorders. Don't judge them, so that this generation and the upcoming generations can have their own metamorphosis. Thank you.